as long as you continue to pursue your dreams, whether you are a computer science graduate or a civil engineer, that will not make a difference. You'll still be successful. Favorite, it would be difficult to name one, but I have very good memories of learning things from Ranjana ma'am, from Dr. Lakes, everybody.
Good morning, sir. I am Sanjana, a second year mechanical engineering student of Bhagalpur College of Engineering. Before starting anything, I would like to tell you about the vibrant club of our college, which is Campus TV and Radio, founded by Kumar Gaurav sir with the motto of Discover, Develop, and Dominate. Our club fostered personal growth, creativity, and innovation in students through various workshops and events. I am here with my batchmates Shreya, Nancy, Aprajita, Vivek, Amank, Badal, Rahul and along with few seniors. Today, we are excited to connect with our esteemed alumni, Swami Nandan Jha sir of 2001 batch, who completed his BTech in Computer Science and Engineering from Bhagalpur College of Engineering and currently working as Director of Digital Manufacturing at Panasonic Energy Corporation of North America. Welcome, sir. Tell us about yourself, sir. How is your life is going on, sir?
Hi guys, first of all, it's an amazing feeling talking to all of you. As you rightly said, Sanjana, I've graduated from Bhagalpur College of Engineering, not just the BC Bhagalpur, but I've lived my 25 years of life in Bhagalpur. So it feels so good to see all of you. It's like a history of almost 25 years back, going back and how exactly we grew up in BCE. So first of all, thank you for hosting this, Sanjana, Sakshi, and morning. I know it is pretty early for all of you. For me, it's kind of pretty in the evening. So thank you for getting together.
Okay, all right. So for a Friday, how are you guys gear up? I know that this is a long week for us. For me, it is a long weekend, not for you guys, but it's definitely a weekend coming in. So first thing in the morning on a Friday, talking to one of your BCE mates. I don't like to use the term seniors and juniors, but one of your own. How does it feel?
Really great, sir.
Nice. That's good. And all of you are based out of
Thanks.
Bhagalpur itself right now.
Yes, sir.
Good. All right. This is your moment. It's not me for me to kind of tell you what exactly I do. It's your moment to ask me what you want to kind of do, what you want to kind of learn. How can I be of help? What can I do for you guys? This is
Yes,
your
sir.
moment to understand what exactly is happening in the technology world over there. Because as you can understand, I've lived with this for 19 years, so a bit more experience than you guys have. I'm very sure one of you will become better than what I am today, and I hope that happens very quickly.
Sir, what was your childhood dream? Was it engineering or something else?
Hey, Shreya, thank you. It's a great question. Uh, I believe that our dreams versus reality keeps on evolving, and that has happened with me also. Growing up, my dad wanted me to become a doctor. Or let's say I wanted to become a doctor, but my dad wanted me to go into engineering. So I picked up engineering from there, let's say after graduating from Mount SSC school. I'm sure some of you are familiar, but I'm from Bhagalpur originally. I live very close to DAV, the school, DAV school. I'm sure some of you are familiar. I've graduated, I mean, my 10th standard from Mount SSC school. But while growing up, I had the dream of becoming a doctor, but then I think engineering was a better option at that point of time. But by the time I graduated again from my intermediate studies, I wanted to become a commissioned officer in the army. So I went through my NDA exercise, let's say, um, went until the last moment of an NDA interview, but couldn't finally qualify some of the situations about uh, my medical structure, let's say. And then spent a lot of time thinking about what next to do before I ended up trying IITs and a bunch of things. I'm sure all of you have dreamt that and you have lived through that life. And then I was, let's say, lucky enough to get a position in BC Bhagalpur. So finally ended up being very close to home all the way until 2005. So almost 25 years of my life, as I said, initial. I've stayed in Bhagalpur. I've lived only in Bhagalpur. I've seen that part of the world. So the dream has evolved. The dream has evolved from what I wanted to be versus what I am today. And I feel very good about how things have grown from trying to become a doctor to a defense guy to finally becoming an engineer who's living a good dream.
Thank you, sir. That was wonderful story from your early days. Sir, now I wanted to ask you that did you always plan to pursue computer science and engineering? Or was it just a journey that evolved over time?
Yeah, it's a very good question. I don't know if I always wanted to be a computer graduate or it was just destiny which brought me to computer science and engineering. Um, I think the charm of computer science, electronics those days was really high. Uh, and definitely at some point of time, I wanted to evolve into what was really happening at that point of time. That doesn't mean that computer science and engineering is the only way you get into corporate world, let's say. You can be a great civil engineer, for example. And I take civil engineering, mechanical, and electrical. They were much more established in Bhagalpur. I have seen some of my seniors. I've also seen some of my peers, some of my classmates at that point of time, who are doing some great work in civil or mechanical or electronics and everything. So, did I always want to be a computer science? I didn't know the answer to that until I got into computer science and engineering. Yeah, it's an evolving journey, and all of you, I'm sure, have lived through the same journey. And I'm, I'm very hopeful that I'm sure some of you come from different batches. If all of you are from computer science and electronics, it's a different story. But if all of you come from different batches, take it from me, life will drive you towards success as long as you continue to pursue your dreams. Whether you are a computer science graduate or a civil engineer, that will not make a difference. You'll still be successful.
Sir, how was your experience being the first batch of CEC in BC Bhagalpur? Was it exciting or risky?
Of course, it was very exciting. As I said, I don't remember seeing a computer until third year of my life in B.C.E. So it was definitely exciting. But then we had the 2001 2005 batch is also known for having some of very good students who came from adversity, let's say, who realized that computer science is a, let's say, a way to go, but they knew that there won't be a lot of infrastructure available at that point of time. So in that sense, it was very exciting because you go through the adversity for almost 4 years of your life, and you realize that you have to put in your effort, your personal effort. But we had some great professors even then. Ranjana ma'am was there. Uh, I studied from Patal Lake, sir. I'm not sure. Some of you know the history, but there were some great professors who actually tried their best to drive us through, coach us through, despite not having a great infrastructure over there. And then the batch was amazing. I mean, there were some brilliant students in electronics and communications, in computer science as well, much more talented than I am. And those guys were always pursuing about how to excel in life. So the the whole journey was really encouraging. It was a lot of fun, and I'm sure you guys are living the same dream, maybe a better dream than what we lived in 2001 5.
Yes, sir. How was the role of senior in your college life?
Rahul, I couldn't catch you. Can you come again?
Yes, sir. How was the role of senior in your
Oh,
college
how was
life?
the role of senior at that point of time? Oh, they were very good. I mean, uh, I have some very fond memories of the batch. I think it was I joined 2001. So the guys who were, I mean, some of the seniors who were graduating in the same year, starting from there to all the way couple of years back, uh, they were very encouraging. They had seen the adversity as well, and I'm sure all of you understand Bhagalpur doesn't have a great infrastructure. But from college perspective, they had decent infrastructure in mechanical and electrical, civil. They had some great scholars and professors at that point of time. And when they saw the computer science and electronics coming in without much of an infrastructure built, they were very encouraging. They knew, I think, in hindsight, that all of us will go through a huge amount of self-learning, and they realize that we will not get the same level of attributes, the same level of probably the knowledge and experience that they had because the other branches were well established. So they understood that our life is going to be a little more adverse than they had. So they were very encouraging to ask all of us how exactly to keep continuing growing. In fact, not just in college, I actually remember and I have very fond memories of moving to Bangalore for close to a couple of months after graduating from B.C.E. Bhagalpur. And I met some of those seniors back, and they were very encouraging again, saying, all right, stay back, hunt your job, find out whatever you have to do. So, yeah, they were great.
Yes, sir. And who was your favorite professor in your college? B.C. Bhagalpur. And why?
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of them. In fact, I had great relationship with most of the professors at that point of time. I don't know if you know about Ranjana ma'am. She was one of our computer teachers at that point, computer professors at that point of time. She has moved out of Bhagalpur, I think. Dr. K. Patralek was there, who was ideally mainly an electrical professor for the electrical branch, but he was very knowledgeable, very smart. I knew him actually all the way from my childhood. Um, there was Professor Lakshman Prasad who used to teach us mathematics in the first year, I think. Yeah, maths was there in the first year. Um, in fact, I knew him from my school days as well. He was great. Professor Shashank Shekhar, he was there. I know he's still there as part of the curriculum. M.K. Sharma was there, who taught us a bit of economics and management towards the final years and all. I mean, yeah, if you ask me for a favorite, it would be difficult to name one. But I have very good memories of learning things from Ranjana ma'am, from Pata Lakes, everybody.
Sir, how was your friend circle in college?
My friend circle. Yeah, we were a very rowdy batch. I'm sure you guys have heard of our history of 2001 batch and all. It was great, actually. We were close to 40 people in computer science and close to 40 people, I think, in electronics, and very similar capacity in rest of the branches as well. Uh, an amazing friendship with almost everybody. In fact, we have a BC Bhagalpur group for the 2001 batch in WhatsApp. So we still are connected to an extent, talking to each other. Um, I don't know if some of you participate now, but um, I actually, while getting into the college in the first or second year, I also participated, became a part of Rotrack Club of Bhagalpur. So I'm not sure if some of you are involved in club activities over there, but I was part of Rotrack Club of Bhagalpur. In fact, from Bhagalpur, BC Bhagalpur, the first year when we got in, we actually won the Mr. Bhagalpur and Miss Bhagalpur, whatever you can call that those days. I was the winner of Mr. Bhagalpur. One of my seniors, she was the winner of Miss Bhagalpur. And then I also actually, growing up for the next 4 years, finally became the president of the Rotrack Club of Bhagalpur as well. So BC will give you a lot of opportunities. It will train you. It will develop you into an amazing human being as you live through this 4 years of life.
Sir, how did your involvement in clubs or extracurricular activities help in your post-college paths?
It does help. It does help. As I mentioned, I'm not one of the best talented guys who were there in 2001 and 5. There are some people over there in that particular batch who had more talent than I have, who have more knowledge, who studied much better than I did. But I probably did more of the extracurricular than some of them, and it does help. Not because you become a public speaker for say, but you understand how to network with people, how to work with people, how to kind of coax them, persuade them into understanding your views. And as you get into a job market, let's say private, public, whatever it is, you'll realize human to human relationship is the most important aspect. Talent, most of you have, all of you have, in fact, because that's why you are in BC Bhagalpur. You've already proven that you have talent, and that is why you are part of BC Bhagalpur family. But as you grow into becoming a skilled professional, what will matter is how great a human being you become after living through this life. How do you work with people? How do you understand their views? How do you become tolerant to others' views? And that will give you an opportunity of growth. Of course, your talent in terms of your education is going to be the paramount reason for your success, but everything else also plays a part. So keep building those networks, meet people, talk to them, understand their views, debate a lot. It helps. It definitely helps. I'm sure some of you guys have debating societies and stuff probably today. We used to take this as part of the road track club, but always go out, debate, come back. And if you are speaking pros and cons with a person who's, let's say, has got a different view than what you have, you should be still able to go back and still have the same level of friendship before debating and after debating. If you can do that and achieve that, you'll grow a lot in life. That's the tolerance that you have to learn.
So, we're very thrilled to hear from you. So, what is something at college that you absolutely loved being part of it?
It just grows naturally. I love to be part of BC Bhagalpur. I've grown there for 25 years almost. Everything about Bhagalpur and BC is something that I definitely love. It has given me so much. If I am over here, one of the reasons is BC Bhagalpur. Uh, I I love probably where we may not have the same level of infrastructure and everything which is available with the rest of the colleges. I don't want to quote that in a negative sense, but that adversity can fuel a lot of desire in you when you realize that you have to put, let's say, extra 25 steps while you are running because somebody is 25 steps ahead of you, somebody is in an IT, uh, somebody is in a private engineering college somewhere in Odisha, in Bangalore, whatever it is, and they have better infrastructure. They get to talk to people who know what is really happening in the world, and some of us did not go through the uh, same level of visibility at that point of time. Even though it's not a great thing, but I love that because it did create or did fuel the desire to compete with these guys. So adversity will fuel a lot of things in you. That's one thing I definitely like. It doesn't mean that you guys should live in adversity. Should definitely try to improve the situation of the college, work with your professors, your principal and everybody else. Try to do whatever is best possible to improve and leave behind a legacy for your juniors who will come. Improve this by at least some degree. When the next set of juniors, when they come, they can very proudly say that our seniors left behind something which I'm very proud of.
Yes, sir. You spent almost 15 years and Tech Mahindra across multiple countries. What kept you motivated through such a long tenure?
Yeah, I mean, it still keeps motivating me, and the whole idea. That's why I tell you. I'm sure that some of you saw the picture that I had of the digital transformation, and this is the difference between some of you are a computer graduate, some of you will learn management as you go towards your final years. There is a difference between status quo and automations that everybody talks about, and then there is the transformation part of it. That's what fuels some of us like who come from the digital world and they keep on moving forward. The idea is that you do something better than what you did last day. It's like the cricket match. You start every day with a zero, a fresh inning, and there is no legacy left. Even if you have scored like Sachin, if you have got 50 centuries, doesn't matter when you go into the next match, you still start at zero. So that is what fuels the drive to keep on doing something better. I started pretty much as a Java developer. And then moving from there onwards to go into an operations technology space, IoT, robotics, now finally into artificial intelligence. The idea is to keep on moving forward. And what you have learned, use that for a transformation. And that's why I put that picture for some of you to see. Transformation is when a caterpillar grows into a butterfly. That's what transformation is. You can keep on running, you can increase your speed by getting inside a car, all of that, but that's still automation. But the transformation is when you become a butterfly from a caterpillar. That's what you should aim for. Become a butterfly, and next decade, maybe become a bird out of that butterfly. If you can keep on fueling that dream and that appetite, that will keep you driving. That will keep you driving for your entire life.
Sir, what is the difference in the work-life balance in India and in North America?
Yeah. uh, there are a few things that we will have to understand. There's a work-life balance which could seem, or you might feel that there is more work-life balance in North America, and the reasons are very simple. Uh, you have well-defined holidays. You have very easy access to things which can impact your day-to-day life otherwise. So, for example, I don't have to worry about how will I pay my bills, how will I get an electricity connection, and all of that. I'm sure that a lot of that is also happening in India. But if you look at the larger population, those things can take away 4 to 5 hours of your life on a daily basis. That's something which I don't have to struggle. I don't have to drive 2.5 hours in heavy traffic, let's say. I do have to drive heavy traffic. In fact, I have to sometimes drive for 60 minutes, even though the drive is pretty much 25-30 minutes. And that's a frustration that I have sometimes. But imagine this frustration when some of you will go to Bangalore and you'll have to drive for 2.5 hours. So uh, that is there. The work-life balance can be better. But then the work-life balance is great in India as well, because you get a lot of things that you will cherish once you move out of the country. You'll cherish the friendship, you will cherish your family around you to take care of you, to take care of your family, your kids as you guys grow up, and all of that is something which you won't be able to see in the States, in the North America, or any place else. So there are pros and cons of being in India. There are pros and cons of getting this luxury. There is always a price to pay, and that's something which you have to decide. There are a lot of successful people in India today from my batch itself. Work-life balance is a very difficult terminology to explain. I believe it is all about perception of how you see it. But things can definitely be better depending upon where you are. Sometimes it looks like it's much better in the United States. It is, no doubt. But the same level of work-life balance you can achieve in India as well. As long as you are great at your work, you can work 8 hours, shut down your laptop, go home, and people will still have to have you because you are one of the best.
Sir, in your initial days, did you felt any communication barrier or language barrier foreign country?
Uh, Not necessarily a lot. See, language is a means of communication. There are people, if you look at language, English is a universal language. Most of you have learned it. Most of you will grow into it as you get into a professional life. It's not like day one. We are not the native English speakers. None of us are. We are not Shashi Tharoor. So all of us will evolve into as you grow into this particular professional life. Yes, I did have a period in life where I would say there was a language barrier. I did move to Italy for around 2 years. I've lived in Florence, Italy for 2 years. on an oil and gas assignment for GE, General Electric. And you'll find surprising that some of the European countries may not speak English. So Italy is not an English native speaking country. And there it was definitely a bit of challenge of how to communicate with people because they love Italian, their own language, and I don't blame them for that. They are very proud people of sticking to their roots. So even if they know English, they'll still want to uh, converse in Italian. But then you'll manage. It doesn't make a lot of difference. You'll converse with a lot of French while in the United States, or you'll converse a lot with the Spanish. And their level of English may not be as great as yours is. You'll realize that at the end of the day, you are better than some of the others as well, even though they are in the Americas. And language at some point of time will evolve because your technology skills will overpower or they will subdue the barrier that language creates.
Sir, can you share your working experience in international locations like Florence, Atlanta, and Boston? And how did it influence your professional activities?
You have to repeat the last part, Nisha. How was my?
And how did it influence your professional perspective?
Oh yeah. So all of us know, and particularly you are a student, so you have also gone through, let's say, 18, 19 years of your life, moving from your first grade to all the way to your 10th, and then finally to engineering and everything. Change is never easy. Uh, you have to adopt, and people who evolve and adopt faster, they will always grow. And that's one of the great things about we Indians. We know how to evolve and we know how exactly to adapt to varying some circumstances. We have lived through that level of evolving change for hundreds of years. We have seen the amount of change which probably no country has. So it, it's in our veins. We know how exactly to cope up with the situation and evolve and everything. So yeah, it did influence my perspective of moving from, let's say, Florence. I mean, in fact, I moved from Bhagalpur to Hyderabad. Hyderabad was the first place where I actually found my first job for 4 years, before moving to the States and then again to Italy and then back to States and all of that. So it keeps changing your perspective, but as long as you are ready to adopt, it will give you a lot of insight into how to network and how to work with people from various cultures. At the end of the day, as I said, your human skills are more important than what you will learn from technology. And there are people in India who are only successful, who may not have even graduated, but their human to human connection of how they market themselves and how they sell something in the market is so great that they are still very successful, more successful than some of the graduates from engineering and MBA and everything. So these kind of changes will challenge you, but at the same time, they will evolve you and help you to adapt to the circumstances.
Sir, what was your most challenging project at Tech Mahindra and how did you overcome it?
Yeah, I think the most challenging part of me, not as a project, but as an entire assignment, was moving to Florence, Tech Mahindra, and then trying to execute the entire program out of Florence, where language was a huge barrier. And some of you, as you probably, I'm very sure some of you will go to Italy one day and realize it's a not so open a culture compared to the States. States is a very open culture, and the Italian culture is very strong to its roots. It can be very dynamic. People may not exactly express so easily. They are not very open sometimes of what they have in their mind. So you have to just imagine sometimes of what they're talking about. The dynamics and the politics side of things can come up sometimes. So it definitely became a challenge because I had taken up the my first assignment, let's say in 2015, to run the entire Tech Mahindra operations for GE Oil and Gas out of Florence. So it was a huge responsibility at that point of time. And as I went into that assignment, I had a huge set of backlog of delivery challenges. Not not because I went in, but there was a legacy already over there. We had some delivery challenges which had been escalated at that point of time to on the level of a CIO in GE Oil and Gas. And you can realize the CIO of a GE Oil and Gas site in Florence is a huge thing. And the lady at that point of time who was the CIO was a very strong person. And it took me a while, almost 2 to 3 months, to be able to cope up with that, to understand how exactly to work with her, explain her why exactly we have some delivery challenges over here, what are we trying to do to fix that, build those connections with her, and then finally be able to stabilize the business. I still consider that to be one of my most challenging assignments. It took me a while before I could really figure out how exactly to deal with the dynamics of people, different cultures, language, different level of delivery, and everything.
Thank you, sir. That was a very insightful experience from Tech Mahindra. Now, moving ahead to your current role at Panasonic Energy, could you tell us about your key responsibilities as the Director of Digital Manufacturing?
Yeah. So, as the director of digital manufacturing, as I mentioned, I report to the CIO of PECNA, Panasonic Energy Corporation of North America. And I have multitudes of responsibilities, but one of the main core themes is driving the strategy for the digital transformation for all sites in North America for Panasonic Energy, not for the entire Panasonic. Panasonic is a conglomerate of close to 500 plus 550 companies. We are one of them. Panasonic Energy is one of them. We have got sites here, two sites in Reno, one site in Reno, one site in Kansas, which is just coming up. There are factories in Japan which make batteries very similar to us. So my role encompasses all of this. I have to drive the strategy of how will we evolve, how will we, as you grow into economics and a bit of commerce, you'll realize that your top line, bottom line, which you mean revenue, how much finally the company makes from a top line perspective versus how profitable it is, which is your bottom line. It plays a huge factor in how much the company will grow over a period of time, irrespective of whether you are in IT or a finance or you are part of manufacturing in a company. You still, when you get into strategy and execution, these will be some of the core themes that you will have to manage. So I have to manage that. How do I influence growth in the company through technology transformation? I also have to manage the architecture, given that we are growing across multiple sites. So I have to manage the entire architecture, which some of you understand from a system design perspective. But if you scale this up to a company 10 billion, you understand how exactly you have to harmonize what tools, what technologies, web versus, let's say, OT, IoT versus a piece of AI, ML, agentic AI, generative AI, LLM, all of that you hear these days. How do they come together to give the company an edge on the top line, on the bottom line? And how does it have some intellectual property based on which the market thinks of that company as a differentiator? And Panasonic Energy is a huge differentiator. It has its own USP when it comes to making lithium ion batteries. We are one of the best in terms of our quality metrics. We are one of the best of how to make 6 million batteries. We make actually 6 million batteries per day out of one site. That amount of scale is not easy to achieve. There's maybe LG and a couple of other companies who might be able to compete with us on that scale, but there is nobody else, not even Tesla, who has tried to make batteries, has been able to make the same scale of batteries that we do. And that's why we are the prime partners for Tesla. So my responsibility is across all of this to drive the strategy of how to make this better next day. For example, now my focus is how to introduce, you've heard about a lot of automation, manufacturing coming back to the US. I'm sure you're hearing of all of this in the news and everything. Our focus is shifting from manual into some sort of a robotics and humanoid. So one of my tasks, which I have been assigned, is to evaluate how to influence a humanoid into manufacturing. Uh, Digital twin of a human. How do I bring that? How do I make a humanoid work maybe for quality inspections? How do I make it work for maintenances? All of this is again driven by technology, but it does influence pieces within the manufacturing. Uh, I'm not there yet. I'm still evaluating how exactly to influence that. But those are some of the strategic things that I have to do. Those are some of the strategic things that I do on a day-to-day basis as well.
Sir, what leadership lesson have you learned from working for various companies like Panasonic, AI?
Yeah, I've learned a lot of things. I've actually learned how exactly to lead a life and then also grow every day and then still feel empty that you have to achieve something more next day. That is one of the big things that I have learned. But there is one thing which probably a quote which always amazes me, and this is one of my drives. Uh, Let me share that with you. Probably you might have seen these on the slides as well. This is from Jack Ma, the founder of Alibaba, and he delivered this as part of a keynote to his entire factory. One of the earlier days when Alibaba was still trying to grow in. And that quote is amazing in the fact it makes you think of how exactly to keep evolving. And he says, um, today is difficult, tomorrow is going to be more difficult, but day after tomorrow is beautiful. And most people die tomorrow evening. And it has a very profound meaning. If you see, it says, it's trying to say that, hey, you will face challenges today, you'll face challenges tomorrow. But if you continue to keep on growing like this, there is going to be a day after tomorrow, which is going to be very beautiful, fantastic, whatever you can call it. But then here is where we all of us get challenged. We try to give up when the goal is pretty much in sight because we probably cannot endure that enough. That's why he says most people die tomorrow evening because the day after tomorrow is going to be beautiful. So you have to sustain that last bit of passion, energy for that day after tomorrow. And if you can continue to do that, you will lead a very beautiful life.
Sir, how do you handle pressure, high step moment as a leader?
The first thing is when you have to handle pressure is to realize that you are under pressure. As long as you can acknowledge, sometimes you can be scared as well. As long as you are scared of a moment, it means you are realistic. And if you are realistic, your inner self will figure out a way. Humans have this innate tendency to come out of any situation. But if you try to somehow put an artificial band-aid on it, where you try to prove to yourself that you're not scared, you are not under pressure, then probably it will impact you negatively. But as long as you let the pressure just maybe even consume you at some times, your body, your mind, your soul will fight out of it. That is what I do. I let the pressure sometimes overcome me before I overcome it. And then sometimes I just go out for a run. Running is always very helpful. If you're in stress, probably go and run for 2 to 3 miles. It will bring down the stress. Other than that, of course, try to read as much as possible, get inspired from other people's life. Uh, there are some amazing figures in India, freedom fighters who have lived through some dark days that none of us can imagine. There are some great philosophers in Western philosophy as well. Read them, try to understand their point of view, and that will bring you to reality. Everybody has gone through the same thing. We are not the only humans who have to deal with pressure or we have to deal with anxiety or anything. Um, Everybody has gone through it and glorified that and come out of it very successful. Some of them have not been successful, but everybody has lived through that. So let it take its own course. Don't fight it. You'll come out of it. Even as students, I'm sure some of you face that anxiety. What will happen in the final year? Where will you get a job? Will some of you become an IAS officer? Will some of you go into CAT management? I've done all of that. I've tried almost everything which was possible at that point of time. So you'll have to let that thing take its own course. Live your life with a lot of passion. Live happily. Don't let your desire go down, despite any failures that might come across your life. So that's how you deal with stress.
Service freedom, whose freedom fighter inspire you a lot? And what is the lesson from freedom fighter you used from you in a corporate life?
Yeah, I mean, these are really inspiring questions. And every freedom fighter in India, they have contributed to something great that has happened at that point of time. I'm really inspired, but if you ask me personally, I'm very inspired by both Mahatma Gandhi and what do you say, his ideals of how exactly he dealt with it, and Subhash Chandra Bose both. Bhagat Singh, particularly, I've read Bhagat Singh a lot. In fact, one of my first speeches that I made in school was an illustration of a speech from Bhagat Singh. But I have a profound feeling that if I could equal even 20-30% of what Mahatma Gandhi was able to do, I would feel proud about my life. It's not very easy to live in that kind of adversity and then being able to command, I don't know, what was our population at that point of time, 20-30 crore people, I think, to be able to contain them, show them that we can achieve freedom. And sometimes, despite the challenges, our internal conflicts, still being able to control that, I think he was just amazing. It was like Mandela and Gandhi. They are definitely people who are born in a generation and they've led us through things which is not very easy to achieve.
So you have worked with AI, ML, generative AI, IoTs, and Industry 4.0 tech. Which technology excites you the most and why?
I mean, technology has not been a constraint for me. I mean, as I said, I've gone from being a Java developer to somebody who's trying to experiment with humanoids at this point of time. But definitely AI ML has its own charm. It has brought, if you see, particularly if you look at the phases of how programming languages evolved, particularly, you'll see that with AI ML, the core programming languages, some of them low level languages, have found their shape again. I mean, Java was a fantastic language, right? A lot of us have probably you will also grow into it, and uh, you should definitely spend time with Java to some extent. And, Java is like engineering, pretty much. You can be an IAS officer, you can be a management guy, but when you do engineering, you go through all these things. You go through management, you go through diplomacy, you go through programming skills. Java is that. It teaches you almost everything. But then um, if you look at the level of robotics and program and humanoids and stuff in AI ML, you'll realize Python is going great, right? Python definitely has found its charm at this point of time. If you look at Rust, for example, those are some of the new programming languages that you might have heard of. You'll realize that C is finding its ground once again. And there's going to be a huge influence from C and C++ again as we evolve into uh, certain acts where the memory is constrained, for example, where you are not thinking of just a web application with huge amount of storage, database, and everything available. So you start getting into acts of IoT that we call it. Um, IoT is pretty much your operations technology at that point of time, industrial. So when the memory and the constraints come into picture, you go back to doing it the best possible way. So C, C++, and that's why it's always going to be popular. But yeah, if you ask me which is the best programming language I can still write a code in, probably I can still code in Python. Although my uh, days of extensive coding are over now. I don't sit down and write code every day. I draw a lot of architecture. I define how exactly systems are supposed to get connected. What's the level of integrations I have to build between one factory to one particular machine, which is again IoT and skills of MES, SCADA, everything that comes in. But if you're just focused on the programming language, I will tell you that you can spend a lot of time, particularly these days, on Python. Learn that as much as you can. Find time to learn some JavaScript frameworks for a backend front-end perspective. Node.js, for example, that's a universal backend API language most of the world uses right now. So you should learn that. Keep on your skills of C, C++, and Java for sure. They look like they disappear, they never disappear, they'll come back. They are some of the core programming languages which go behind the scene when you start developing products, even if they are not visible. So keep learning that, keep learning C, C++, because this will help you understand as you grow into the next set of words. When you guys get into where I am 15 years later, you'll realize that a lot of the world is dealing heavily with agentic AI, for example, or is dealing very heavily with robotics and humanoids. And the reason is very simple. People will start competing with, or the countries will start competing with China, where the labor is very cheap, inexpensive, let's say. And the only way to compete with that would be to go into more and more automations, which is like robotics and humanoids. So keep your languages of Java and C sharp enough that you can always fall back on it when the world evolves. But at this point of time, I would say Python definitely is Python, Node.js, or any other JavaScript framework is definitely something you should learn. Go into hackathons, pick up an AI ML project, do a exploratory data analysis, understand data. The other thing that I would definitely recommend some of you is understand infrastructure, how things work, how infrastructure and network comes together. How do you set up a site? How do you put up a router? How do you actually build a VLAN? How do you put security around it? Those things never disappear. It looks very mundane where you are in computer science and you think, hey, what exactly will I do with infrastructure and networking principles? But then as you grow up into a great software engineer, you'll go back and do the same thing in AWS or Azure. You'll do exactly the same thing. And if your basics of infrastructure and network principles are strong, you'll be able to set up those virtual networks and virtual infrastructure much easier. Find two rooms in the college and try to set up a, what do you say, infrastructure network for that. Put a bunch of routers over there and see how do you connect. Put some security around it. Those will be some great learnings that will live with you for your entire career. There will never be a moment that these things will disappear.
So what do you look for hiring fresh graduates or young professionals?
What do I do for hiring professionals? Yeah, it's a great question. I time to time, or let's say every year, I do get to hire a couple of interns in Panasonic Energy over here as well. And that's one of my way of hiring a lot of some of the people who are very fresh, just coming out of college. Some of these guys are ideally in the third year, or let's say the, I don't know how many semesters they have. I'm not very great at the American education system. I think they run probably every semester, so probably in their 6, 7 semesters and stuff like that. I get to hire them for a brief period of time. And what I've realized is generally the interns um, have a great amount of energy. They have a lot of passion. They want to learn very quickly, and they want to experiment with things. So more than their skills of how great they are with technology, because I'm very sure that they will learn when they are on the job. I go for the attitude and the passion. If the guy is, if the person is willing to learn and is probably willing to spend effort beyond their normal office hours. It's a tough thing to say these days in India, but yeah, you will have to put in effort beyond your normal hours. And when I find that attitude that people are willing to sacrifice their evenings, for example, let's say, and learn as a fresh graduate, or even if they are in their still in their college, I prefer them. And the reason is I know that they will pick up the language, the technology, or anything else. But as long as they are inquisitive, they can ask great questions. They are always searching for something. They are always trying to discover something. So they may have weird questions, which even I don't have sometimes. It's always good to hear an outsider's view. You bring a new guy into the college and they'll tell you something which you never thought of. It's always good to hear to them because they will help you understand something that you are just missing out because it's become so regular part of your life that you don't care about. So I like those interns because they they teach me a lot. They help me see things which I don't sometimes.
So, how do you see AI and digital transformation changing the landscape of manufacturing in next 5 years?
It's going to change a lot. If you see, one of the things that I firmly believe is human appetite to excel will keep on growing. We are the only species from Darwin's theory whose hunger for doing better will never be satisfied. And that's one of the reasons that the manufacturing will always keep on evolving. Geopolitical risks and the scenarios that you are looking at today means things will change where there'll be a lot of automation, and that's why I keep talking about robotics and humanoids coming into picture. In fact, I've been in touch with a company in Chennai, uh, which is doing a lot of work in robotics. Actually, they're working with L&T and a bunch of other companies in India. I'm sure some of you have seen those videos where the landscaping and the bricklaying, all of that is happening through robotics. So the manufacturing is impacting day-to-day life as well, and that will keep on happening. It will keep on evolving. I firm believe that in the next 50 to 70 years, uh, the manufacturing will get automated. The dark factories and those uh, completely automated lines that you hear of, which is about no humans but everything running through automations and robotics, that will happen 50, 70 years, maybe less. And in fact, the way the AI has grown, I won't be surprised if it happens in the next decade in the US, because US is lagging behind China a bit in that. But that is changing with Trump. He's very focused on how to bring back manufacturing over here. So that will happen. I do believe that in the next 50 to 70 years, a lot of adventure will happen in space technology because that's our next, what do you say, human desire and appetite. So our focus will start shifting towards new avenues of growth and job and everything. So there'll be a lot of work which will happen in space technology. You'll find people, and this is just my belief, in 60, 70 years, the dream of Elon to colonize Mars may not be colonize it, but people being traveling to Mars in 60, 70 years, those trips will become a reality at some point of time. And that's the industry I believe will fuel the next set of jobs and next set of employment and everything. And there's a lot of other stuff which will happen at the same time. Renewables energy, there's a lot of work to be done in renewables. If you see, battery is one part of it. And the battery technology is also not completely a renewable science because you depend upon lithium and you depend upon a couple of mineral, which is again got its own constraint like fossil fuels, petrol and diesel that you see. They have got their own constraints. Lithium has got its own constraint like that. And if you read through some of the evolving technologies and how the landscape is growing, you'll realize that solar is going to take a huge shape. And that's why China is investing a lot in solar energy. If you see, I firm believe that a lot of evolution will happen in the solar energy of how we use it today. We are very heavily dependent on those cells at the end of the day, the photochemical cells for charging and discharging, and then the electricity generation. Those areas will have more innovation. So your generation, let's say, since some of you are much younger to me, I think you are at the cusp of seeing a huge change. Our generation saw it too. I came from the 80s. So we moved from black and white TV, some of us not even having a black and white TV, to a, what do you say, an LED screen on a refrigerator and an IoT connected to it saying, hey, you are going to run out of eggs in 3 days, so why don't you go ahead and order eggs? So we are living in that generation now, where what I need to keep in my refrigerator is being determined by how an AI ML runs constrained to the environment that it sees. You guys will fuel the growth further. You'll go into space technology, you all will go into uh, renewables energy consumption. Maybe some of you will go into how exactly to harness nuclear in a much peaceful and human way. I still believe that nuclear energy has got its own charm. It just needs to become uh, more safer, and that's a source of energy which will not easily run out. I'm sure that the next set of generations will figure out a way of how to harness nuclear in a much safer way. Maybe there'll be a nuclear cell someday, 60, 70 years down the line, where you can put that in a car and it will drive you out. A safer nuclear cell is what probably everybody should dream of.
And what advice would you like to give to the students who are just planning to build their career in AI and data analytics?
So the AI part of it starts with the later part that you said, data analytics. So data is the foundation of the AI that you see. AI is nothing but statistics at scale, to be very candid. And it is not a science which is very new. If you look at the computations and statistics in the past, there has been AI. Obviously, it has grown a lot now, given there are a couple of reasons for it. The computation has become much cheaper. Pretty much like the electric vehicles. If you look at Tesla, what you see today, it's not like it's a new technology. Electric vehicles have been there in the early 1900s, 1903, 5. That is where the electric vehicles came. But then the charging was a problem. Keeping the charge was a big problem. So it has evolved now with these batteries and all. So if you're getting into data analytics, I would say understand data first. Uh, Learn notebook. I'll come down to the transaction level. Start learning how to harness the data in a Python notebook, for example. Do your exploratory data analysis and try to find those insights of what data is trying to tell you. What exactly are those outliers that you see? Or what exactly are some correlations between different attributes of data for whatever use case you run, what it is trying to tell you? And then go into learning the supervised learning, unsupervised learning. Spend a lot of time, I would say, with GPTs. People say that GPT is like taking over the world, but interact a lot with GPT. How do you interact with GPT itself is an art. Asking, saying, hey, can you tell me how to write a story, versus saying, imagine you are a great scholar and you are somebody from the Shakespearean era, write me a poetry. And that prompt is very different from saying, can you write me a poetry? So how do you interact with GPT is an art in itself. It's a science in itself. Spend time with these things. Learn Python, interact with notebooks, go into some of these hackathons that are over there. In fact, I'm missing the hackathon, which is hosted over there in one of the sites where you can go and find those use cases where people will generally collaborate and run those AI scenarios. Go into those places, learn with that. Use a lot of GPT. It will give you a lot of insight. It's huge computation. It has done a lot of generative AI in itself. Don't think of it as something which you wouldn't want to touch. Do everything which is available with you. Find some of these use cases which people are not thinking of. Um, Deal with data. Deal with data a lot. I also recommend that some of you definitely try to become a full stack engineer. A full stack engineer is never going to run out of opportunities. People think that cursor or some AI will come and people will start writing vibe coding. That is not how it works. Vibe coding is something which people do for fun. Vibe coding doesn't work for the enterprise. When you work for a 30-40 billion dollar company, they won't allow you to do vibe coding because the risks of safety and security are too huge just to do a chat GPT and copy paste code over there. So try to become a full stack engineer, learn some basic skills of user experience, UI, JavaScript, CSS, learn some of it for sure. Then learn backend for sure, which is your Nest.js and a bunch of other JavaScript frameworks over there. Node.js is one of the most popular. Fast API is very popular. You can write code maybe in, if you learn a bit of Fast API, you can start writing APIs probably in half a day. Learn that. It's very helpful. Learn then some UI coding, probably React and anything around that. And then learn what Aparajita was asking. Learn Python, learn data analytics and AI. Learn that, and then learn AWS. That's one of the best cloud that I would refer anyone. Go and pick up the course which is available for AWS practitioner, for example. Do that course. Try to understand what is there, what exactly is an infrastructure, what exactly is a VPN, why do we do that? What's a VPC, virtual private cloud? It's nothing. It's basically somebody's computer running somewhere connected through a bunch of networks. That's what AWS is. A bunch of data centers connected with each other, and then that is what cloud is. So fundamentals, learn these things, because as you grow into any particular space, they will help you. And if you are very charmed by what is happening to the world, go ahead and start learning a bit of robotics programming. Some of you, and these are all open source today. World has become much easier for learning. If you have an appetite for learning, everything is available on the internet. So you might want to go to something like a developers.nvidia.com, and you will find that there's a course for what do you say, imitation learning of how exactly to train a humanoid. Even if you don't complete those things, just read those. It will fuel some what do you say, desire in you, or what is really happening in the world. So wherever you find a developers.something.com, go ahead and just learn that. Even if you don't understand it first time, that's okay. You're not supposed to understand everything today, but you'll exactly know what is happening in the world. It's more important for you to know what is happening than how it is happening.
Okay, sir. Sir, after that, looking back, what would you like to do changes if you were a student again in B.C.E. Bhagal?
Except for a bunch of laptops over there, I don't think there is a lot that I would like to change from where I do. That doesn't mean that you guys should change, but my life is inspired by a lot of adversity coming from that batch of 80 people not having a lot of infrastructure available. Is what I am today is because of that. Now, if I had a lot of opportunity already available over there, maybe I would have spent time going out in the evenings doing something else, and that whole what do you say, keep on fighting attitude probably would have died down. It would have mellowed down. So I don't know if I want to change a lot of things. If I have to go back and do I dramatically change a few things? Maybe not. But you guys should definitely. That's why I said you are in the college right now. You have an opportunity for. We did not leave. I'm very guilty of not leaving something behind for our college. But you guys have the opportunity. Try to leave something for your juniors who come back. They say, I I know Vivek sir left something for me. Rahul sir gave me this. Aparajita was somebody who left a token of great appreciation in the college. And that doesn't have to be physical, but change the culture maybe. Tell them why they should go to, when you go to what I was saying developers.nvidia.com, and there is a first year guy who comes in and you say, hey, you know what? Go and watch those YouTube videos. They will learn from you. Why they should go into those YouTube videos or Coursera's or why to go to nvidia.developer.com. They need somebody to lead the path, and you are physically present over there. What you tell them will make make their desires grow.
Sure, sir. Sir, please tell about one mistake that you learn most from.
A lot of mistakes, right? So, everybody has got their own share of regrets. Uh, One of the mistakes, and it's very difficult to define that in how exactly it has changed me, but I do realize that you will always get an opportunity. You'll always get an opportunity for something. How quickly you embrace that opportunity and act on it is something which will define your moment in life. So I have left certain opportunities at times, not in the professional field, but everything put together in life, where let's say the life could have been more beautiful than what it is today. So I could have grabbed that opportunities, for example, and I could have stayed back, maybe let's say in Florence. Let's just take an example. And maybe Florence, I'm not sure if some of you have seen pictures, but it is one of the most happening and beautiful places in the world. So what I'm coming from is when you get an opportunity, make quick decisions. And if those decisions don't go in your favor, don't regret. That's how life is supposed to be. If you can make 50% of your decisions in your favor, think of you're better than 80% of the people. Your decisions have to be quick, and that's one of the things that you learn as you grow into professional sphere. Agile, Scrum. Some of you have definitely heard of Agile and Scrum way of dealing with projects. And one of the things that it always teaches is versus a waterfall model of project execution, fail faster. You don't know if you will succeed, and you don't know if you will fail. But if you fail, fail faster. Build your sand castles every day. Don't wait for not being able to take those decisions for months or years sometimes. Find an opportunity, act on those. That would be, I mean, I wouldn't say it's a big regret, but yes, there have been opportunities which I have just delayed, procrastination. Oh, kal kar lenge isko, aaj so jate hain. So those things come back to hurt sometimes.
For such insightful lesson that you are so experienced and at the pinnacle of your career. What are the qualities and habits that help you succeed in such a dynamic global career?
Yeah, some of the habits that definitely help me, not just in the professional space, but I do like to read sometimes. I'm not somebody who reads a lot of novels and books and stuff, but I do like to read a few things. Um, and I can tell you that I'm not sure if some of you have read, but I'm very inspired by if some of you have read The Fountainhead. If you ever find an opportunity, go and read that novel. It's uh, The Fountainhead is is a tale of humans' ego, of how to evolve and challenge your circumstances and still grow. And that's, I think, is one of the greatest book that I have read because it fuels a passion in you to be able to circumvent whatever challenges that you face in life and still keep growing. So reading is a habit that I definitely sometimes spend time on. I also like to hear a bit of podcasts here and there. uh, Amazon Music. I'm a big fan of listening to still Mohammed Rafi and Mukesh Kumar. So I listen to those songs. Keep keep doing things which are diversified. Don't focus your life on one straight line. As long as you can write AI/ML programming and also listen to Mukesh Kumar and someday go and play badminton and tennis and run 2 miles. If you can do all of this together, it will keep your desire very young. It will it will make you feel you are still in 20s every day. And that's one of the things that I've learned, that how do you keep your inner self young? How do you keep the hunger going on, right? That is what will determine Don't feel satisfied. Don't feel. Uh, I wouldn't say don't feel happy, but don't feel satisfied just because you got something today. Keep looking for something more. You get the the distinction in BC Bhagalpur. Your next desire is to probably score a great rank in GATE examination. Probably after that, just fuel yourself and try to become a scientist. Every day, live a new dream and keep living new dreams, even if you fail. Doesn't matter. Life will take you to its own destiny. And as long as you can live happily with it, it will take you to a very good destiny at the end of the day.
Sir, could you share one memory that still makes you smile and maybe one that was a bit embarrassing or funny at that time?
Yeah, I mean, not at BCE, but I did have I have gone through my own set of evolutions, and a couple of memories over there which do make me feel. I became at some point of time a very good public debater and somebody who can talk to a lot of audience. But that was not how I grew up. My most embarrassing moment was in my eighth or ninth grade. Uh, some of you have gone through your schools in a very similar fashion, where you will probably recite a thought of the day in front of the whole assembly. And my first experience of that was okay, go over there and I have to read just one sentence, and then I was so scared with so much of anxiety, I simply had to say sorry and come back. So that was very embarrassing because there were people who were able to do much better than me in that point of time. Very next year, I think we had to compile our schools and our classes. What do you say? Um, the yearbook, and I submitted a poetry of my own. Everybody submits something, and it was so clueless and so rabid and so bad that it was rejected immediately, saying this is classless. It's got no sense. And that was again very embarrassing because I don't remember anybody who was not able to find a place in the yearbook except me because I wrote a poetry which was so bad. But from then onwards, I think I've grown again. As I told you, when I got into BC Bhagalpur, uh, that was the time this whole, I don't remember exactly what it was called, but Mr. Bhagalpur was something which came in from Rotaract Club, and we was asking, hey, does anybody in BCE want to participate in this? And we had a senior, her name was Richa ma'am, and she volunteered to be the female side of the participant for Miss Bhagalpur. I was like, okay, let's go ahead and do it. Let's see what happens this time, because I've almost now 7, 8 years after that incident never gone in front of a crowd, in front of an audience, and try to do anything. But then that went well. It went very well actually. So I grew into that. I became a decent and good public debater as part of the Rotaract Club. I've seen a crowd of 10,000 people dealing with them. I've grown into that very naturally at times. Maybe I haven't seen that level of crowd today that I used to see. But that was good. So from embarrassing to good, I think these are the stories. I actually became a good poet by the time I was in BCE. Got few of my poetries and a fair share of writings, which were decent enough. So uh, the whole thing is, again, I had a desire not to feel embarrassed again next time I go in front of a crowd. And that helped me grow into it, saying, hey, I don't want to go in front of a crowd, in front of the mic, and say, sorry, I don't remember what exactly is going on. So, yeah, some of those funny moments.
Now, as we come to the end of this wonderful conversation, do you have any message or advice that you would like to share with your juniors at BCE?
Yeah, I've shared a lot of my lecture already, I think. But I want to say that live your life whatever years you have got in BCE, uh, happily be happy about where you are. You're very privileged to be in BCE. There are a lot of people out there in Bihar and in the rest of India and maybe in the rest of the world who don't have the privilege of having a 4 year engineering degree. So you're very privileged to live that moment. I'm sure that the infrastructure is still not so great. It is better than what it was, but I've been to Bhagalpur very recently, 6 months back, and my apologies, I couldn't go to the college. Otherwise, I would have seen a lot of you. But I still believe that the infrastructure is not there, and that makes you guys anxious at times. But you shouldn't be too anxious about that. That anxiousness that you're getting is your desire to grow and be better. Keep that desire growing. Keep that happening in you. Be a good human being. That counts a lot. That will take you to some pinnacle in your life. Just being a great Java developer or being a great guy who knows everything in technology is not what makes great people. The If you look at the Googles and the Apples and everybody, the CIOs and their CEOs, you will realize that majority of them weren't the toppers or the front benchers. They were great human beings with great desires. And that's why they are there. So keep that desire, be a good human being, connect with people, learn a lot of whatever you can. I still do that. Spend your time. This is your moment. I'm sure enjoy your life. Go play badminton, football, hang out, whatever you have to do. But then Saturdays and Sundays, sit down, spend 2, 3, 4 hours, whatever key you can, on a YouTube video, on a Java class, a Python class, crack something. Uh, don't let this moment go. It won't come back. Once you are in a job, to find those 2 hours when you can sit down and learn Python is not going to come easy. Now, it's not going to be so challenging. You can find those moments on weekends. So keep on learning whatever you can. Be a good debater. If I can tell you, be a good debater. It fuels your inner self. And be a good human being where you debate with somebody and you don't agree to them. You should still be able to come back and be friends with them the next moment, the next day. If you can do that, probably one half of your career. If you can debate with a person against them and still be friends with them, it will go a long way.
Now, we are done with our questions. Is there something that you want to ask from us?
Sorry, Shreya, you have to repeat that.
Sir, now we are done with our questions. Is there something that you want to ask us?
All right, what I know that I've also spoken to about I'm going to launch some sort of an internship program just to kind of see that I'm able to influence and help some of you to learn things and grow in. So you'll hear about that a bit. What else can I do for you that will at least help you grow in your life here in your college and probably as you grow into your jobs and opportunities or professional career? What can I do for you?
Sir, you can hold a workshop for AI tools, how to use it, and how we can upgrade ourselves by using this and make projects like this for future.
Mhm. Yeah, that is very easy to do. You will see that probably in the next 1 week. I'm actually also trying to run a small startup, just initiating that particular process. And there is a thought in my mind which deals with the use of artificial intelligence in the space of medical science, let's say healthcare. So I'll let you, all of you know. You all can contribute and think about it. How exactly to use AI ML over there.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. That was honestly such a great conversation.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for taking the
No,
time
thanks to me.
to share your
It's been
experiences and just sharing about all the real ups and downs, the unexpected lessons, and how everything came together in your career was super inspiring. I am sure
every BCN watching this will take away something valuable, whether it's about skills, mindsets, or just embrace the chaos of college life. Wishing you all the best for everything ahead. And once again, thank you for being here. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, guys. The thanks is all to you. I mean, it helps me cherish those moments of being a BCE alumni. Still feel like a student interacting with you guys. So I feel much younger now talking to all of you. You'll definitely receive a couple of guys, particularly who are trying to do anything in the AI ML space. As part of this, I'm going to send you a few links, websites. Go ahead and go through those, particularly hackathons. I'm sure some of you are running through, so maybe you are already involved in them. But I'm going to send you guys a couple of links, websites that where you should learn, crack some hackathons, and also about the certifications that I talked about. Some of you should definitely go into the AWS space. Some of this is all open source, free. There's nothing much to be invested over there. Try to go and learn on those ones. So I'll send you certain links that will help. Find time, go through those.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Hey, appreciate it, guys. Anytime you want to read through some particular medium, and hopefully I'll be there in Bhagalpur towards the end of the year or probably next year, and I will have the opportunity and glory of seeing some of you. Until then, good luck.
Sure, sir. Thank you, sir, for your
Thank you,
valuable
sir.
time.
Thank you, sir.
All right, bye, everyone.